Right off the bat, I know. This may not be considered horror to you, for obvious reasons, but on Netflix this is considered to be a thriller. So you're gonna have to give me a break, goddammit, okay? You're gonna have to give me a fucking break for 1 second. Welcome to Scooter, the place where we bring impromptu and original ideas. Yes, this idea is super original and has never been done before. No one has ever talked about Squid Game on YouTube. No. What kind of game is Cthulhu throwing? OMG, Cthulhu, you're doing some sort of a Squid Game. Oh my god. This is actually the first episode of How to Write a Story, where I'm going to be going over different topics and telling you guys exactly how to write a story. And I'm going to be doing this over my personal taste and personal enjoyment. I'm not going to be talking about the textbook definitions of how to write stories and stuff. This is going to be strictly based off of my opinion, so don't count me in any textbook definitions, please. This also wasn't the first draft of how to write a story. This is actually like the third or fourth script I started for how to write a story. The other topics you probably won't see until a couple of months or maybe next year, so yeah. Squid Game is a popular Korean drama show created by... You know what? I forgot to say this earlier. I suck so bad at Korean names, so I'm just gonna put the names on the screen. Squid Game is a popular Korean drama show created by this guy, and surprisingly enough, this was originally scripted in 2008, but no one wanted the script to produce until Netflix in 2019, which is odd that happens a lot to a lot of popular shows. This series is surprisingly so popular, one of the most popular shows on Netflix at this point. I think the most popular show on Netflix at this point. And after watching the first episode, I can see why. And I think this is a pretty good first episode. As you can see the title, you know what we're talking about today. So let's go ahead and talk about it. To explain what goes into a perfect episode, I think we should briefly take a look at one of the other episodes that I think is a really good episode 1, The Promised Neverland. When it comes to The Promised Neverland, I think it's the perfect first episode, the perfect start of a show that you've probably ever seen. It introduces the setting well, introduces all of the characters well, introduces the plot very well in the first episode as well, and at the very end of the first episode, they give you a twist that you don't see coming, and I think that's really good. That's the baseline of a really perfect first episode. If you want to know more about that, I do talk about it in an earlier episode, way earlier, like a year or two ago, so if you do want to look at that Promised Neverland video, go click over here or in the description or maybe even in the comments. This first episode tries to do that with the first scene of this episode, trying to briefly explain to you what the game Squid Game is. And yes, it does sound confusing to me. It did sound confusing to me, but at least they had the wherewithal to explain to you what the game is. When it comes to writing a story, it is important that if you think the story might be a little confusing, to give exposition at the beginning. Expositions can be a double-edged sword. There are some times that it is used where the actions itself can be just as effective in telling the story, and there are times like these where it is necessary to give important information across to the viewers. When writing a story, you must pick and choose carefully when giving exposition. We then get to see the main character and his life in poverty. I think the creator said once that he wanted to show the economic and social struggles that go on within South Korea. That's why they give you the entire 9 yards for this main character. Gambling addict, job doesn't pay well, owes money to the bank and a group of very bad people. And this guy, he just can't catch a break. He genuinely just cannot catch a break. I think it goes without saying, but shows like this, you want to resonate with the main character. You want to understand their story. But at the same time, I do feel like this main character kind of makes you pity him a bit too much. Now, I don't feel like I'm personally able to talk about that much because I obviously have never lived in South Korea before. So if you have lived in South Korea before, would you like to explain if this is realistic or not? Because I would honestly like to know. The day that was portrayed in this episode was even his daughter's birthday. He couldn't even do that much that he wanted to for her. Everything just fell down. He felt very, very bad that he couldn't do much for his daughter. He hit rock bottom. There was almost nothing else he can do. He was just gonna go home and sulk. But that's when he met this businessman in a suit, and the businessman asked him to play this game with him. When it comes to this part, I would have ran away from this businessman. I would have ran away without a second thought. I don't care if I was trying to catch a train. I'd run. I'd just run, because if somebody you don't know, if a stranger just comes to you and tells you your entire life story, would you not be scared? Would you not try to run away? I would. I'd run away. I'd bolt it like Flash. Okay, I'm sorry. I feel like I'm fillering right now. I'm sorry. But the main character didn't run, and they played a game with a bet of 100,000 won. Now, I don't know the conversion for that, but 100,000 is a big number, genuinely. So I'm pretty sure it's a pretty big bet, and the main character does not have that money. So if he's just gonna be in more debt, no, this businessman said he'll just slap him in the face. Just give him a slap in the face. Another red flag for you to run away, main character. Why didn't you run away? But this kept going for rounds and rounds, and slap after slap after slap after slap, until the main character finally won one, only to go home and be delivered more bad news. His daughter is moving to the US next year, and he won't be able to visit her or see her anymore. Unless he's able to have a stable financial income. That's the only way he's going to be able to get custody of his daughter. So with that in mind, he contacted the businessman, and they took him to this strange magical place that no one's ever seen before. Indexer's Laboratory. I'm sorry. This place is a crazy place full of crazy people, and we get introduced to what I can only imagine being the rest of the main cast we're going to be following throughout this season. And then the people that are hosting this game play this video, and in this video you learn that nobody here is special. Everybody here is just as nothing as the next. They all are in debt, full of hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe even in the millions. And they all were tricked with the same game, getting slapped after slapped after slapped after slapped after slapped until they won. So when it came to earlier, when I was talking about the main character being too pitiful, making it feel like you're supposed to pity him a bit too much, now it feels like it was on purpose. You're supposed to sympathize with him to an enormous extent, only to later on realize that he's just like everybody else. Everybody else is literally him. He is nothing special. Which honestly is not something that I would have thought to do when writing this story, or at least this first episode introducing you to the plot and stuff. I don't know what I would have done, but subverting expectations is definitely something that isn't used quite as often as it probably should be. So I really liked this part of this episode where it's like, okay, everybody's on the same boat. Everybody's just a person. You can relate to everybody here. They all have their struggles and stuff they gotta deal with. Everybody's just a guy. And that's so good. And it's only something possible with these hour-long episodes. And when it comes to other shows like this, they have a lot of time. But other shows like this, if it's like anime or something, you only have 20 to 30 minutes to get your point across, and then whoop on to the next episode where you have to get another hook to hook the people back in, and you don't have time to develop these characters as much as you thought you did, yada yada yada. It's doing something like this is only something you can do really, really good when you know how to use your time wisely, especially when you have an hour to do this. So now all of them are competing in a set of games for a crap ton of money, and if they lose, they die. Ooh, oh no. Which is something that definitely is not original, especially when it comes to anime and other drama shows. Even in movies and stuff, the concept of playing a game and if you lose, you die. It's not original. Not original at all. It's done in Sword Art Online, done in Zathura, done in fucking Jumanji. It's not original at all. But I still feel like it's a good concept that can be used pretty well. So this concept still can be done well. And you still felt the bleakness when you saw everybody getting shot at the end when they were playing red light, green light. Not everybody, of course, but most of the non-important characters. Overall, this is a really good episode 1. Dare I say, a perfect episode 1. If I were to write a serious show in any way, the pointers I would take from here is introduce the setting, the characters, explain the main character's person, and give the plot to the audience in a unique way. The setting started off as more realistic, only to later on switch the place to be more of a fantastical land. Has been done a plethora of times before in movies and anime alike. Squid Game did enough to stand out, but also enough so that the concept and the characters feel familiar to you, like you've seen them before. That's definitely the point of genres, now that I'm thinking about it. Because at the end of the day, no idea is original, but how can you, the creator, give it a twist and make it your own, and stand out in the world of genres? But that's basically it. Did you guys enjoy this first episode of how to write a story? This is definitely in the beta area, if you would ask me. I don't know if this would really be an episode 1 or if it'd be a pilot, or like I said, some sort of a beta or alpha stage. I'm not sure, but I really wanted to do this to kind of get the idea out there that I'm going to be doing a couple of stuff every now and then, like this versus this, how to write a good character, how to write a good arc, how to do this, yada yada yada. Do you think I talked about the episode too much? Should I focus more on the story aspect? I'm not necessarily sure. Tell me if you like this. I'd really like to know. Thumbs up, please, subscribe. We're pretty cool. We're some cool guys. We're at 500. That's nice. Thumbs up. We'll talk later, especially when I get community posts. Bye. Goodbye. That's basically it. Bye.